Hey, what's up, guys? So I wanted to do another video. Again, I try to put them out around once a week. It's been working out to about one every 1.5 weeks at the moment, but try to get that fixed for you at some point. Um, I have been trying to come up with a video, as I always do, for try to come up with my weekly topic. And I decided I wanted to touch on so I listen to I watch a lot of Tim Pool and his podcast and everything, and I gotta get closer. I noticed that it in the last video. I know this is gonna make some noises for you guys. This kind of sucks. Okay, I'm gonna speak like this. Yeah, because I noticed this once I like edit the audio a little bit. This actually sounds way better. So I'm gonna do this way, so that way it sounds good for you guys. Um, yeah. So I watch a lot of Tim Pool. He's not. Tim Pool can be kind of frustrating because he's like 80% of the way there, like 80% of the way there in understanding how the system works and the problems with it and where the corruption lies and all that. Um, but he comes to just the wrong conclusions, and I don't understand how he gets from. He's so close. He's so close. I just want to sh- grab his shoulders, shake him back and forth, and be like, "Here you go. I'm just gonna straighten you out. Like, here's the few things that you're missing, and you're on the right path." But so if you frequent Tim Pool's channel, one thing you'll know that he touts a lot in his big argument for Trump in comparison to any other potential candidate is Trump's handling of the economy. That's his one Trump card. Wow, Trump card. Anytime anybody, they really get into it, he's like, well, look at how well he did with the economy. And for the leftists that are on there, that when they try to refute it, they have no sound basis in economics. So they can't even begin to try and grapple with that argument. Like, they just don't have a chance because they don't. If they made that argument, they completely invalidate their worldview. And I don't know, the right wing people, like, they just they have this they kind of know about economics, but they also kind of buy into all the woo woo modern monetary theory stuff. So, um, yeah, they don't go, they're not hardcore enough. I don't know. And I'm honestly surprised because that because I know he's talked about this while he's had Luke from We Are Change on, who is an anarchist, works with the Free State Project and stuff like that. And so I was kind of surprised when he wasn't, coming back with this argument while Tim was talking about this stuff. So I figured I'd do this here and make the argument here, so at least somebody's saying something about it. Because yeah, so here's basically the thing is, if you look at the economy under Donald Trump, it looked, up until COVID, obviously, it looked really good. All unemployment was way down. Everybody was living better, had more money in their pocket, etc. But I would like to put forth that this was a bubble and not an actual, like, people weren't actually doing, the economy wasn't actually doing better. I'm sure it was, was economic growth, as there always is, but there was also a ton of malinvestment, just like with the 2008 recession. More people were there, more money was being put into housing and stuff like that than was actually needed. And then when they realized that, they were like, oh shit, we just wasted a whole lot of money. And so the economy kind of straightened itself out and was like, oh, this is what all this stuff is actually worth. Sorry to burst your bubble there. My God, another walking into all these puns. Jesus. Um, but so essentially what happened is I want to lay out the narrative for you is so the housing market crashes in 2008, the whole Great Recession, right? And so normally what you would want in a recession is basically the economy corrects itself. All those businesses that were failing, you let them fail because they were a waste of money, right? By this recession happening and those businesses failing, that's the economy telling you, hey, you shouldn't have been putting your money into these places. Like, we need to clear this out, free up all these resources so they can go to something that's actually valuable, that the people actually need, instead of pumping more and more into these basically just profit schemes that don't help anybody. But what instead happened was Obama bailed out all of the big banks. Bailouts all around. Huge corporate bailouts for the banks, for the automotive industry. I was 8 years old at the time, so I don't know enough of the specifics off my head. I just know the general narrative of how it went down. But I do want to bring, let's see. Oh, I got to fix this and set it up so I have my my browser in here real quick. Window capture. Properties, and we are going to bang. Okay. So this is not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. So you can see, so the Fed, if you don't know, controls our money supply. It's each point is like a rabbit hole that I don't want to ramble down every time. But there's a million videos explaining how the Fed works. I would look up, type into Google, Tom Woods Federal Reserve explained. I'm sure that will yield you fantastic results as a great explanation on how I'm almost 110% certain that will yield you a perfectly adequate result. So you can see going into, so they had the interest rates down real low as a response to, they had dropped them down to try and compensate for the crash that happened as a result of 9/11, as well as trying to help fund the war effort and everything like that. And so as we go into Obama, we have and guys, this graph is just to show you the differences between. Notice this scale only goes just above 5%. So where these interest rates were, right, they never should have been that low in the first place. We're already well below where the actual interest rates should have been, just for your consideration. So to see them here, I know it looks high on the graph, but relative to where they could be, they're not high. These aren't high interest rates of 5.4 whatever interest rate, 5.2, whatever this is. And so right here is where we get the Great Recession happens, the 2008 crash. And so instead of, letting the businesses fail that need to fail, and kind of letting the economy sort itself out, what Obama did instead was drop interest rates down just near, basically effectively 0% for almost 10 years. So we're down here. So from 2009 to 2016, what's that? 7 years. 7 years, we have at or near zero for just under a decade. Insane. So what this effectively means is all of the big banks, whenever they need more money, they can just borrow it for next to nothing. Now, let me ask you, what's the rate on your credit card, on your mortgage, on your loans? I bet you it's way more than 0 to 1%. So effectively, these privileged banks get to borrow as much money as they want, way cheaper than anybody else. And when you can get money for as cheap as you want, whenever you want, of course, you're going to blow it on all sorts of things that are actually a waste of time and a waste of resources. And so eventually what ends up happening is you blow up this huge bubble where you have this just house of cards built on all of these wasteful projects that these financial investors are just blowing their money on because they can just get money for cheap. And so if it fails, it doesn't cost them that much money. And if it succeeds, they just got free millions. So and because you have such a low borrowing rate, obviously those victories are going to far offset any losses you might incur. So basically, every time that bubble pops, it requires more and more money to try and reinflate, unless you kind of let it sort itself out and then make a new bubble, obviously. But if you're just trying to reinflate that same bubble, think of a balloon. When a balloon deflates, it's all stretched out and everything because it's been sitting inflated, obviously, right? So when you want to go inflate that balloon again, if you want it to be just as supple and firm as it was originally, you're gonna have to put a little bit more air in there. And so that's the same case with the economy. And so what you can see here is even though under Trump these interest rates went up, they only went as high as about 2.5%, right? And well before the pandemic, the rates were already dropping, right? They were already trying to counteract any. So basically, this COVID-19 thing, all these lockdowns, really provided cover because, let me tell you, Donald Trump's a moron. Essentially, what he did was, so here's what happened. I keep really getting off on these tangents, but I kind of want to lay it out clearly and coherently. So essentially what happens is Obama inherits this huge bubble. It pops almost, it was either just before he got into office or just after. I think it was just before. I don't, obviously, like I said, I was like 8 years old, so whatever. But he drops rates down to nothing. Okay, here we go. Obama reelected. So Fed drops rates down to nothing. All the banks get bailed out, all that. And so what he does is, uses those bailouts and interest rates to reinflate the bubble. So right here, his entire presidency, what you're seeing right here is the bubble slowly reinflating. And just about 2016, just as Trump is getting elected, this is when the bubble just gets back to where we had been previously, right? So just kind of getting up there to where we were at the start of the recession. I mean, this was a slow recovery from Obama here. So now we're just starting to get where the bubble is striving for new heights. Now we're kind of back to where we were, and now we're going to try and inflate the bubble even bigger. And so Trump inherits this this recently reinflated bubble, and through record deficits, record spending, he went ham on this bubble, dude. He cut taxes. He cut taxes for everybody, and then at the same time increased spending. So we're taking in less money but spending more, and we were already at a deficit. So he racked up, I want to say he started with 19 trillion in national debt, and we're now at 27 to 28 trillion in just 4 years, which far outstrips Obama, far outstrips any other president in the history of the United States. We're at crazy. The only time we were at deficits this high was to try and reinflate from the previous recession. And he did this, preemptively. And so Donald Trump, being the moron that he is, essentially takes credit for this huge bubble that he's inherited. And he goes, oh, look how great I am. Look how great this economy is. Look how low the unemployment rate is, et cetera, et cetera. It's all me. And you see kind of the sheepish, like, they don't really hammer him on this a ton because they kind of know it's a coming bubble, like a bubble that's going to eventually pop. But you hear here and there where they go, well, actually, it was Obama's economy that he inherited. And now, because they have COVID as cover, they can kind of they've really started hammering on it, where they're like, oh, it's actually Obama's economy, and he's just riding off of his accomplishments and everything, which is the truth, but they blame COVID for everything. COVID isn't the reason all of this happened. COVID, I guess it was the catalyst to the popping of a bubble that was always going to pop. Now you can blame it on COVID itself, but it was always going to pop. And now, never underestimate the Fed. It seems like they've kind of reinflated it as well as one could, as quickly as one could. But I don't know how long that's going to last, because they have put in an absolutely Herculean effort. I've seen another website quote, I think 22% of all U.S. currency ever printed was printed in 2020. So that is an insane statistic. Last month, the U.S. budget deficit, $864 billion, was larger than the total debt incurred between the 200 years between 1776 and 1979. So just absolutely unprecedented levels of deficit and money printing. And here's the thing where I sort of buy into the thing where it's like, well, Donald Trump actually means well and he has the right instincts, but, he's just a buffoon who listens to all these assholes around him and kind of takes their advice. And that's his problem, is he just takes the wrong advice. But the thing is that really does this for me, that really puts a stick in this for me, that I can't fully go along with this narrative that, he's got the right instincts, but he's just a moron or whatever, and he's not intentionally doing these things wrong, is Donald Trump has tweets. Donald Trump, Obama, real unemployment numbers. where he criticizes Obama for the stuff I'm telling you right now. He's totally correct. Where he's totally correct on this Obama Fed policy. Here we go. Did you hear the latest con job? President Obama is now trying to take credit for the economic boom. Had the weakest recovery since the Great Depression, despite zero Fed rate and massive quantitative easing. So they're not going to show me the one. They're only going to show me the ones where they can actually disprove. So I probably should have found this ahead of time. But yeah, I'm not going to find it. But take my word for it. Trump was saying the same stuff that I'm telling you right now about Obama's bubble, about his unemployment numbers, that famously, like, you know, they would always say like, oh, the unemployment is this and that. And there was always that guy to tell you, oh, these aren't the actual unemployment numbers. They actually changed the way they look at unemployment entirely. And so if you actually went by how we used to define unemployment, these numbers would be way, way worse. And so Trump would constantly tweet about that and hit him on that. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he came into office, oh, we need 0% interest rates. He's actually called for negative interest rates. And, oh, these unemployment numbers are not only the most accurate unemployment numbers ever, they're the best we've ever seen. You know, this is just a testament to his great, you know, economic knowledge and expertise and, you know, God Emperor Trump can do no wrong. So, yeah, and this isn't coming from like a left-wing standpoint. Obviously, if I'm talking about economics, can't be coming from a left-wing standpoint. And I've wanted to be sympathetic to Trump in the past. Especially because of the stuff that I just want to believe that there is a politician there somewhere that might do some good at some point, for the love of God. But especially the stuff he said about, like, you know, the military industrial complex and wanting to get out of the wars, and him actually having said good, correct, accurate stuff about the economics specifically in the past, and the charade that the Federal Reserve puts on. But based on his actual actions, you know, ramping up bombing in Afghanistan and as well as Syria, you know, only really he's far outstripped Obama's number of bombs dropped, definitely in the first term, but he gets even close to his 2-term amount, I believe, if I'm correct on that one. But he's been dropping more bombs than any other president. So it's just I wanted to believe, I'd like to believe that, you know, Trump's on our side. He really wants to do good, but he just surrounded himself with the wrong people. And once he gets those people out, which he looks like he's doing, at least, then everything will be perfect. But I really don't think I just don't know what to think. So I think that's going to be the end of this video. Hopefully you were able to get something coherent out of it, because I know I go all over the place, and I have trouble. I got to maybe just write scripts for these or something, because I am just incapable of apparently forming a coherent narrative in any way. I really just go off on these tangents, but I hope it was adequate for you guys, that you liked it. So have a good one.